What's happening, motherfuckers? So, sorry it's taken a minute for this build to come out. I've had every form of issue you possibly could have. Build issues, PC issues, gold issues. So, at least thanks to the good old guild and Pandotie, they came through yet again and funded this build. So, thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. I wanted to bring you something that was actually viable using fire and ice. I tried so many different sets, proc sets, fire specific, ice specific, and every time we was just building into one thing, everything else was suffering. Or you end up doing so much that by the time you actually get the combo off, it doesn't work. So I've come up with a pretty common build, but a unique way of playing it. So gonna get into the abilities, the subclassing, the CP, all of that, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, this has a nasty fire and ice burst. You're able to slow people down, burn them. It's exactly what you want out of both of those. So if you're trying to get something that is both fire and ice, this is 100% for you. I've got two versions of it. There's the general, I feel like the 1vx all-around build, and then I'll show you another one that is very fun to play with and has massive AoE defile. So stick with it. I'll timestamp everything for you. But without further ado, let's get into the build. So for stats, let me just show you what I'm looking like completely buffed up. So we're going to hit him, and we're going to hit that, and this, and on our back bar, we are sitting at a very comfortable 2,000 plus recovery, a lot of damage, very tanky. This is a high elf, by the way. You could play this as a Breton. I think it'd probably be better as a Breton. I just couldn't be bothered to swap it. But back bar, all around, we're looking pretty goofy for stats. So we'll go to the front bar quickly. And we are at 6,170 spell damage with great recoveries again, good pen, good all-around everything. So we have great damage on our abilities. We're hitting like a truck, and I'm using the Apprentice Stone. You could use the Shadow, but personally I prefer the Apprentice for this. So for the gear itself, we've got Mechanical Mace Nirnhoned with frost damage and Mechanical Mace Sharpened with flame damage, so that we're getting both of those on the front. And on the back bar, we've got an Ice Staff of Wretched Vitality. You can use a sword and board, but I prefer the Ice Staff just because it's staying with the theme of fire and ice. For poisons, you can use something that increases the cost of people's abilities, but I'd use these on the front bar, or just go with the weapon damage glyph on the back. We've got one heavy Mighty Tudor head, one heavy chest of trainee, and one light shoulder of Tudor. So that's heavy, heavy, light, light, medium, heavy, medium. 2 medium, 3 heavy, and 2 light. So we're getting a decent little bit of pen. We're very tanky all around. And on all of the big bits, we've got Hakijos, but on all the small bits, we've got Max Mag, just to try and pump that up as much as possible, because it's a pretty sour return like that there. That should be Mag. But anyway, I digress. On the jewelry, we've got Wretched Vitality infused with damage, Wretched Vitality infused with damage, and marking. If you're a Breton, you could swap this out for Death Dealers, because you'd be a bit tankier anyway because of the Breton passives, and you'd have more damage because you'd have more max. So if you're a Breton, I'd go with Death Dealer's Fate. And then for the CP, let's get into that. In the blue tree for CP, we've got Fighting Finesse, because we're not going to be hitting people from behind generally, so we're just going to go with upfront damage. Biting Aura to increase all of our AoE damage when we do go off. Wrathful Strikes to increase all of the abilities damage in general. Because we're not running Rallying Cry, Resilience, so that we've got a bit of extra crit resistance. In the red tree, we've got Pain's Refuge, because we're going to be taking a lot of damage. So, you know, if we're trying to 1vx, we want to stack up as much damage mitigation as possible, which goes into Relentless, which is why I've put that on. If you have the Monomyth, you can run that, but I don't, so I'm using this. I just couldn't be bothered to farm it. Still haven't farmed it. Highly believe it's getting nerfed. That's another story. And then Survival Instincts, because we're going to have reduced cost. Being a stage 3 vampire, this obviously helps. And Celerity, so that we can actually move. So all of that is for the CP, and that's where we're at with that. For the combo, it's pretty simple. You're literally going to have your Betting Etch up. Make sure that you've got your Vigor constantly going, so that you're tanky, because we don't have an armor buff because we've got Mighty Tudor on. So that's literally all you really need to stay buffed. And then remember, you've got Wretched Vitality. So just to show you something quickly. 1-3, 1-3. Now I'm in combat. 1-3, 1-3. Until you hit the minor and the major buff in combat, you won't get the Wretched Vitality. So then you'd hit that and your pot, obviously, and that puts you up at a really high recovery. But for the combo, you would obviously have this up. You see somebody, you'd hit your combustion, inhale, and then their frost. Come in, shulk, throw this, whip, bam, and just keep going. And all of these things are just going to keep going off. You can throw your ult, You know, there's a lot of explosions going on here. It's great. Tons of AoE damage. So for abilities, you've got healing so on the front bar. So we've got a heal just in case we're in trouble. And ideally, this would have vitality on it, but I don't have vitality, so I've just put sorcery. Doesn't really matter. But if you have vitality, put that on there. Bird of Prey, because that's just great. Amazing. Berserk and snare removal. Chilling Knife, which if you're running a sword and board, you could use on the back bar, and you could run the sword and board variant, which I've used for chilling throw. Both are almost identical. I'm using frost damage, the charm AoE because this is a warden, and the off balance, which gives me the off balance for the whip. Same again on Chilling Knife, so that I throw this, I get frost damage, I get the AoE with the charm, you know, which is very simple to proc. There it is, and then they're charmed. It's amazing. For the last part is just off balance. And then we've got Shulk, which just buff up quickly, show you what the rough damage on Shulk's looking like. 12k, whip, and Dawnbreaker. For the back bar, we've got Vigor, Betty Netch, Solar Flame, which I don't have the heal on this, I'm just running the explosion to get more of a AoE boom. Incinerate, which obviously gives me my prophecy, and Arctic Blast because this is a great stun, has a high chance of applying Chilled effect, and obviously Chilled gives you more crit damage taken, which then if I go into mechanical on my front bar, I can just start doing hella Chilled damage to them with Northern. And again, with the subclass in, we've got Animal Companion, so that we've got the crit damage on the front bar as much as possible, extra 10%. And then on the back bar, we've got the Northern passive, so that we've got the ice, extra resistances, extra damage with frost and whatnot. And then we've got Ardent Flame, so that we can increase the flame damage, as well as having Incinerate, Solar Flame, Burning Embers if you want it, but I don't use it, and Flame Lash. So you have both fire and ice, and they're both very viable. So yeah, that's it for the skills. And I'll show you the second build now, which is the other variation of this. As for the second build, we're going to be able to defile everyone in an AoE. So we're going to be putting on Kind March Cruelty on the back bar. And it's a very simple swap out. We're just going to swap out a few pieces here, and then put on here our mechanical again. So we've got mechanical on the small pieces and the medium pieces. And then for jewelry, Kind March again. And the reason is because Kind March comes in only heavy. So if you want to have a few light pieces for extra pen, you're going to have to do Kind March on the jewelry, body, and back bar, and then obviously the rest mechanical. It's very easy to proc. So if you watch this skeleton's health, so we've got a debuff on him already. Okay, so we're just going to wait a few seconds. Obviously you're in combat, you're on your front bar, you're doing whatever, right? Now you swap back to your back bar, you hit him again, and they're stacking. So if you just keep doing this quickly, and you've got loads of debuffs on somebody, you've got your combos up, stuff here, go for a whip, swap back to the back bar, put another one on him. You know, you're ruining people's ability, AoE, to be able to fight back. And if you look at Kind March, I've got one protective, one infused, and it's max health, stam, and armor, and obviously this massive AoE defile when you do a direct damage, but it's basically just a basic attack or a light attack or whatever. Major breach we get from Shulk, but cowardice, defile, maim, and vuln we don't get pretty much from anything we're running on this build. So again, it's very easy if you want to just swap that out and put that on. But I'd suggest, you know, being around players that can help you, because obviously your recovery is going to drop. But it's not an issue because we have inhale. So if worst comes to the worst, you can always just inhale and get all of your resources back. So again, this is very viable for a AoE defile type build. And there's a second proc. See how quickly that shit's proccing. Ridiculous. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, peace, motherfuckers. Can't wait to get my new PC because it's going to be so much easier to beat the smoke out of people. But anyway, peace, motherfuckers.